one's for all the parents out there. You know that you want your kids to grow up compassionate human beings, but, well, are you doing all that you can do to nurture that? Well, today we've asked psychologist and author Dr. Malia Barrow for a few minutes on the Morning Blend couch. Now, Dr. Barrow has appeared in O Magazine and the New York Times. She's been a guest expert on television, and she's been on radio talk shows. Among this show, we want to welcome her to the Morning Blend. Hello, Dr. Malia.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I think that at this time of the year, as we're moving into the holidays, we want to think about kids and kindness, because sometimes I feel like parents are saying, I don't know, kids aren't kind anymore, people aren't kind anymore. It starts at home, doesn't it?
It starts at home, and kids do what they see their parents do rather than what their parents tell them to do. And that's the trick. If you say, please don't smoke, and you have a cigarette in your hand, it isn't going to happen correctly. So what we want to do is demonstrate kindness at home. So we have to be very careful that our discipline doesn't go over into a little bit of abuse.
Like?
Well, it's really possible. I mean, millions of parents have raised children without spanking, without shaming, which I think is one of the most mentally destructive things that you can do. You know, it's hard to say that you will never yell. You know, that's putting a lot on the parents. But mediating that and realizing that the only thing that you're teaching your child is to duplicate that behavior.
Sure.
So if you hit, they will hit. If you scream and cuss, they're going to scream and cuss. So that once you realize that that is what you're instilling in your child, it's a lot easier to say, no, wait, how do I want to handle this? And one of the best ways to handle discipline is to put a child in timeout for the number of minutes that they are old. So if you have a 2-year-old, 2 minutes is max. You don't say you're in your room for the night. I mean, that's just abuse.
Because they can't grasp that.
No,
they don't have a point of reference with time.
But keeping it small, and that way you can always go up if you need to. But if you start out with your worst discipline, then you're in trouble. And remember that that is what's going into the child. Another thing that you really want to be aware of is that you want them to be kind to pets and people and the planet.
Okay.
So there's several approaches that you can take. If you see a child being abusive to an animal, you have to rescue the animal right away, not only for the animal's sake, but for the damage that animal could do to the face of your child.
Sure.
And, you know, in their own defense. And you want to speak to the animal as if it has feelings in front of a child and say, Johnny's sorry he pulled your tail and he won't do it again. And here, Johnny, try to pet properly. Now, if Johnny doesn't get the message, Johnny goes in timeout. And you have to allow children to realize that caring for an animal is a privilege, and they have to earn it.
And I'm a big animal person, and I love kids. But I've seen a lot of parents, you know, because it's overwhelming, I would imagine, being a parent. You're a parent of 3 children, and especially with 2 boys that were growing up at the same time, same age. It would be overwhelming. But when you have animals underfoot, and sometimes, you know, the animals become almost like disposable to families. I've seen it. I've seen people do that. And so that when they treat them as an afterthought, well, the kids do the same thing.
Well, they have shown that abusive adults start out as in childhood abusing animals. So you want to really be aware of that. And if you see anything like that happening, you've got to be very proactive and do something about it while they're very young.
So it's not cute when a baby is pulling the tail of a cat.
No.
That's not cute.
It's not cute. And if the adults laugh, the child will do that because the child will do anything for attention.
Okay, and so as you're thinking about some of these things, now I know that the kindness, though, does change as we're moving into middle school, even elementary and middle school. Kids are brutal. They can be really, really brutal to other children, and it can lead to some really destructive things, and to kids committing suicide. I mean, it can be really, really rough. So if you don't teach this at a young age, then we've got some bad things happening later. So what can we do with, let's say, a stage 5? We see a kid at 5 years old. What can we kind of expect them to understand it at the age of 5?
All right, at the age of 5, they have been watching cartoons where Tweety Bird is being hit over the head by Sylvester, or all these cartoons, and they have learned that.
Okay.
And so you have to expect them, when they encounter a new animal of any kind, or even a new kid, a new relationship, they're going to duplicate what they've seen. And they have no ability to discriminate, to say this is okay or this is an animal that I should be afraid of because a little tiny spider makes mommy scream, and you know, here's a great big dog, then I should probably try to, you know, destroy it. So they can't make that decision without help.
We have a lot of parents who are watching are saying, you know what, she didn't have time to get to the preteen angst and the teenage angst. I hope you'll come back so we can do that.
I'd love to.
Because we want our preteens and our teens to be kind as well.
Right.
We have to work on that.
And it's not too late.
It's not too late. I like hearing that. That's good news. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Malia. We certainly do appreciate the time that you're taking to spend with us. Now, as we're thanking her, I know a lot of parents are thanking her as well. Now, if you'd like more information about this segment, you have questions for her, you can log on to our website. You know what that is. That's fox4morningblend.com.